Hello, George. I think we're having slight issue here. George, can you hear me? Oh dear. Um, I
I
think
can hear
it's
you.
the
I can hear you. I can
good,
hear you.
good, George, good. Yes. Um, Viewers, we are sorry for this. George, I think the heat from some of these machines is
Hmm.
acting up on the um, stream. So, but you can hear me, I can hear you, and I can see you clearly too. So I think that's what matters. So how are you, George? How are you? Hello? Hello, George.
I
Can
can
you
hear
hear
you.
me?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Oh, I'm sorry for this, George. Okay. Viewers, you are tuned into our Monday news starters between the line. Like I said earlier, it looks like we have slight hitch from the the main studio. The weather is really hot, and when it's this hot, actually, it affects some of our machines, some of the gadgets we use. So, but anyway, it's good to hear everybody. It's good to see you all over the world, wherever you are. You're welcome to Between the Lines. Today, the 23rd of June, 2025. And I'm here, my Godwin Iwejuwan, with Sir George Chukwu from Toronto, Canada. Sir George, how is it today with the weather?
Well, the weather is there's a heat wave warning since yesterday, and it's gonna extend until tomorrow. From Wednesday, we will start having a more normal weather. But for now, for the past 2 days, it's been really hot, and it's gonna
Hmm.
continue till tomorrow. So
Well,
there has been a
yes,
heat wave warning. There are so many
that's what is
centers that are
happening.
open. So many centers
That's
that are
what's
open.
happening all over
Yeah.
Europe too.
Yes.
The weather is really getting very, very hot, out of control. Um, but it's all good, George. Yes, and thank you for being around.
Yes.
Okay, George, let's go into some updates before we go into the main story. Some update just coming in. Sorry, I have to. I'm using the phone. Okay. So George, some updates we're just getting from around is the ECOWAS organization has just made president of Sierra Leone, that is Madubwe. Madubwe is now the new chairman of ECOWAS. It was a special selection they did, special appointment. Um, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's tenure was over about 2 weeks ago. So he had to pick another person, and he picked the Sierra Leone president. George, does that man, does it look like ECOWAS will now kickstart into something positive?
Well, it is very likely from the news that we're getting. President Tinubu handed over ECOWAS leadership to President
Mhm,
Julius Maada Bio, the way we pronounce
mhm,
it here, but I think in Africa we'll call it Bio of Sierra Leone. So Tinubu 2 years tenure just finished, but it was actually laced with a lot of coups and regional instabilities. So, but Bio now leads ECOWAS and amid mounting insecurity and economic challenges within the region. So Tinubu hosted the first ever West African Economic Summit, YS, in Abuja just recently, and that's how he was able to hand over the mantle to the president of Sierra Leone. So
Yes.
so now what we're seeing is basically, summit aimed to deepen the trade, investment, and regional integration, and invitations were extended to those Sahelian alliance members, despite the strained ties that has happened with Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. Okay, so we're saying that President Bayo already urged decisive regional integration to harness West African potentials. So what we're seeing here is change of leadership. And to me, it is very likely that this leadership might even be this leadership based on the person who is handling it right now, on every challenges that ECOWAS have changed. It might be a little bit better. The reason being that when Tinubu became the leader of ECOWAS, there are some moves that he made that was not generally acceptable, especially with those Sahelian people, the Burkina Faso,
Yes.
these leaders that are
Yes.
what you call the military leaders that are ruling their countries. So, but you know what? What we need to come to grips of is the fact that if ECOWAS can actually, bring everybody together and establish what you call a regional security intelligence and rapid response task force that combines all the military people from every part, so that if anything is happening, what will now take place is this military task force will face those insurgencies. They can create a centralized West African Joint Intelligence Center, WAJIC, under ECOWAS, so they can share intelligence all over the place. That way, with their collaboration, it will help to deter this insecurity that is happening, especially in the northern part of the West African place. They can also deploy multinational rapid response units for anti-terrorism, which is what we see with this, with a lot of what do you call them again? Some of these terrorist organizations that are rising up. They can share
Yes.
real-time intelligence
Yes.
among the member states through secure ECOWAS digital platform. What happens with that is you see the whole entire West African nations begin to collaborate, just like most of these European countries do, just like what America is doing with a lot of other countries. They can also implement what you call a unified digital payment system and regional credit framework, which Europe is using euro. And euro you can spend in a lot of European countries. So why can't West Africa also, develop and institute such framework, launch an ECOWAS digital currency, an interoperable wallet system for seamless cross-border? If you look at most of these superpower, they don't want collaboration from from African nations. They
Why?
institute the
Why?
reason, because they are afraid that when we come together, we will become a force that can be reckoned with, and a force that can actually displace what they have been trying to do with us, and that is intelligence sharing, and that is economic, collaboration that will help all the nations. Can you imagine Nigerian producing all kinds of products that can go through all West African nations? Do you think that we will need America? Our dependence to some of these superpowers will be limited, and they don't want that. So now, if you
Yes.
develop a regional credit scoring system to help all these places, so that even they can have a central bank, and this is one of the things that they were trying to, eliminate Gaddafi, because Gaddafi
Yes.
was one of the people that actually was, this Pan-African mentality that he brought forth, that we can do whatever they can do. They are not better
That's
than us.
correct.
to
That's
develop a
correct.
regional credit system and scoring system. Businesses like, say, for instance, like what's his name, Dangote, can actually get loan from this centralized banking system under ECOWAS. You see what I'm saying? Integrate fintech
Yes.
solutions by collaborating with, AFCTA and regional central bank. So, each country can contribute to that central bank to help
Mm-hmm.
regional businesses in West Africa to start, like Dangote and the rest of them. And they create West African Business and Investment Mobility Pact. These are little
Mm-hmm.
things that they can do. And if this new Mr. President Bayo can actually imbibe some of these things, you will see that Africa, West Africa, will begin to develop. And then they can actually put together a way to be able to build railways that can transport goods via railways to these countries. But I can
Mm.
guarantee you, if they try that, you know what's going to happen? These international, France and the rest of them, they will go and sabotage such. Because to harmonize business regulations and tax incentives to reduce bureaucratic barriers, which is what is
Mm-hmm.
hampering most of the trade
Yes.
collaborations that we have.
Collaboration that we
And
have.
then they can actually appoint ECOWAS Business Council to link private and public sectors for regional business support. Little things like this, when we start it, it might be shaky at the very beginning, but once the foundation is well rooted and grounded, you will see West Africa begin to move forward. But listen,
Move.
for the
Mm-hmm.
past 2 years that President Tinubu was the head of the chairman of ECOWAS, we haven't
ECOWAS.
seen any type of move whatsoever in a way
No.
to collaborate and to help the West African ECOWAS countries to collaborate and to help each other when it comes to businesses and stuff
We've
like
not
that.
seen it, George.
We
George,
haven't.
you broke this down very well, very, very well. You really took your time to understand what's happening here. Um, but one thing remains, George. Since this man was appointed, it wasn't like he was voted in. You know, Bola Ahmed Tinubu appointed him to take the stage. I personally think he might also play according to his principle. I mean, the man that has put him there. So it might not be a very, very fair decision making for Sierra Leonean man Julius Madiboa. This is my own views, George. I don't know because
I I
if
don't think
uh-huh.
I don't think that Tinubu single-handedly selected him. It was a
Okay,
nomination that was supported by other ECOWAS presidents. It
okay,
was a nomination that was supported by other
other
presidents.
presidents.
That's
Okay,
right. He
okay.
didn't single-handedly put him there because he had no
Hmm.
power to do so.
Okay. Yes. He didn't single-handedly do it, but it obviously wasn't like a vote. It was nomination, appointment, and all that process. Anyway, the man Julius Madibus said he accepts the responsibility with humility and a deep sense of duty. He says so that the region could progress, and he also talked about continuing the work together, what Tinubu has started to consolidate peace, foster economic growth, and deepen democratic governance. These are his words. George, um, they will be also be faced with this issue of even though the Sahel is not really in ECOWAS, but the Sahel region of Africa is doing big things on their own. They come under the AU organization, but their impact and what they are doing could be could have some effect on all these West African countries. Don't you think so? Burkina Faso, for example. Burkina Faso is going ahead doing his thing, regardless of that normal way of governance they've always had in that part of Africa. So don't you think that Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, um, doing their own thing in that African continent will have some effect on ECOWAS too, even though we're looking at the larger OAU picture frame. What do you think,
No,
George?
you see,
I hope you understand
what
what I'm trying to say.
what I'm thinking is most of these other countries, because recently in Mali, last week we spoke about the collaboration that Mali is having with Russia to
That's
develop their
correct.
mining system.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
so what we are seeing here is the influence of these superpowers, these European countries and North American countries over
Hmm.
Africa is being seen as being negative. It's being seen
Ah.
as negative. So now what is happening is if you can have somebody like Ibrahim Traore, who
Hmm.
is
Sorry.
now a military leader in Burkina Faso and doing so well, and the people are hailing him for such a wonderful job. The only people
Yes.
that are hating on him are those who used to be our what you call the vultures that used to come and take our minerals for nothing, and then and clap and then send it back to you, as a finished product, and then you're paying
Mm.
more than 3 times or 4 times the amount. So
Hmm.
these are the
Hmm.
people that are
Hmm.
frowning
Hmm.
over that.
Hmm.
So what if ECOWAS presidents can pay attention? What they need to do is to go ahead and start learning from countries like Burkina Faso. How is it that they are able to do so much without a lot of international, affiliation, but
Hmm.
limited international affiliation, but they are so well, they are doing so well. They are developing rapidly. They are internally, they're using a lot of witty inventions, to overcome their problems and situations. This is what African nations need to learn from these people, because, like it or not, when we talk about democracy in Africa or
Yes.
anywhere, any place in the world, you're talking about the government of the people, for the people, by the people. But that has not been what we have received in African nations and around the world. So to force them to accept democracy, especially the type of African democracy, all in name
Okay.
only, all in name
Yes.
only, all
All
in
in
name
name
only,
only.
that's
All
right,
in name.
is unacceptable to the general public, those people that you are ruling. So, one thing that we need to understand is if the people are happy with the type of government they have, whether it's democracy or autocracy, then it is up to the people to say, thank you, we are fine with what we have, and we are doing better by our own selves. So I believe that other presidents need to look in and see how they can limit how they can limit um, the influence of these nations, especially the World Bank, and all those
Hmm.
which we have seen so far. They will give you a loan with
Yes.
one hand, they control you with another hand, and do all kinds of insidious things that will make you not to be able to utilize that money. And yet, because of the corruption that is in these countries, the loan that they are taking, are they using it for what they're supposed to?
Yes. George, let me hold you on the one of democracy, the form of governance. But we know, even though a lot of people still argue, we know that this outgoing chairman of ECOWAS, president of ECOWAS, um, he doesn't understand the democracy in this term, this definition you just gave now. You know, he came in. I mean, we saw what happened on 2023 during the election. So, if we are looking at Africa taking in democracy as their form of governance, like you're saying, now these three countries that in the Sahel that has pulled out are not also following that pattern, but they are doing their thing. So do you really think democracy is the thing is our thing for Africa, George? Let's look at this critically.
Okay.
Must
If
we
you go
go
to
with the stereotype with what everybody's doing?
look at Russia, look
Hmm.
at Russia. Russia have a type of democracy, and that type of democracy fits them. Look at
Fits them.
It fits them. So what we as Africans need to embrace is the type of democracy that will fit us. But
Okay.
what is happening is we have what you call a shine face type of democracy, where we do
Shine
things
face type
to
of democracy.
shine face, to please our masters, those that are contributing
That's
to
it.
what you call
That is it,
democracy
George.
in our
That is
nation.
it.
So what we do is we have to embrace the type of democracy and with our own type of culture that suits Africa. And then when we embrace it, we understand this is our own type of democracy and everybody will accept it. All the presidents that will come under such platform will know how to govern based on that. What we are
Based
seeing
on that.
today is not pure democracy. It is not in Africa. Because what we see, you're talking about Tinubu. Tinubu, I will not blame Tinubu for doing what he did. Why is that? This is the way it
Why?
has been. This is the way it has been. And them on top understand it. They know, and the people that they're working with and working for also know that pure democracy does not work in Africa. So what they will look for is somebody who has a lot of skeletons in their closet, and then they will make sure that they employ such a they allow such a person to become the president, and then they can have influence of such a person, because when they squeeze their balls, they will squirm and they will answer. That's why they don't want any person that is good moral standing, and knows what they know to be the president in some of these countries. They go behind the scenes, they negotiate, they remove, and they implement. So these are the things that we are seeing when it comes to African democracy, or West African
Mm.
democracy per se.
Well explained again, George. So, but George, let's take one. Just let's look a little, maybe like 2 minutes on this issue. So are we not deceiving ourselves? Are we not grouping in the dark and pretending that we are going through? I mean, if you say they know that it doesn't work in Africa, but at every point in time, African countries will mark billions of dollars, naira, cedis, and all of this money currency for election, and they know that it's not the process is not mostly in Nigeria as the guinea pig now. So are we not fooling ourselves? And why waste all this money planning election when we know how the result will be? I mean, George,
Well, that's
this
that's
is.
that's 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 the main question. But you know what? In all the money we're spending, there are
Mhm.
countries that are benefiting from African so-called democracy, as much as it's not the pure one. Last election, did you know that many countries contribute to the election in Nigeria? Was
Yes,
in
yes,
Okay.
you
This
said
was
so.
never made
You
public
said so.
until last year,
Hmm.
because Britain, now UK came out and was saying the 5 million or five whatever million pounds that was given to help with the
Hmm.
democracy in Africa. They mentioned it in their own House of Commons. That's the only way we knew that money was being contributed. And I
Being
can
contributed.
guarantee you, if you look into it, you see that America contributed, Britain contributed, and very likely other countries contributed. So when you convert that type of money into our own currency, you're talking about billions of naira, which
Billions.
actually at the end of the day, the money that we are bringing out, to do election might even be something that they will just share among themselves, and they use what they
Oh,
receive from other countries to run the election. Think about it for a moment. You and I did not know that countries contributed to the election to at least encourage the type of democracy that we have. But these are countries that are actually benefiting from it, and the money they're giving back to us is the money they took from us from
from
another way.
us.
That's it. They give it back to us, but mostly that money was being used for the. Did you ever hear anybody say something about where that £5 million went to?
Pounds went. Mm.
Where did it go?
Georgie, that's
Where did
it.
it
That's
go?
it. So, viewers, this is more like two brothers, two men chit chatting, and believe me, George is dropping some good, beautiful insights here. So we're talking about ECOWAS. We're talking about the new president of ECOWAS, Julius Madubeo, and we are also analyzing all that surrounds election in Africa, the ECOWAS body, and everything happening in that space. So you are listening to Between the Lines, Monday, the 23rd of June, and
Let me
I'm here
just say
with George.
something quickly. Let me just
George,
conclude
tell
with
us.
this. Okay, let me tell you
Yes.
something. The reason why I am hoping that Julius, the president of Sierra Leone, might do better than Tinubu is one reason.
What was the reason?
Tinubu came in, was faced with a lot of challenging situations, and never, in a fashion that he's been governing with, never sat back to think wisely how to approach that situation. He came out with that strong hand and was completely rejected. And as a result of that, some of these Sahelian countries did not want to have anything to do with him. And up until today, might not want to have anything to do with it because they blame him in his reaction rather than political response to what actually took place. So Mr. Bayo could be able to appeal to these other countries and may be able to convince them to come back in and join ECOWAS, simply because he might have been a neutral figure rather than what Tinubu came out to be at the very beginning. That's the reason why I say there might be a chance for him to convince them and bring their brothers back in.
All right, George. George, let's do a small break. News updates are flying in. Real-time updates are blowing up. The Kuwait, Iraq, Iran, and U.S. issue. So viewers, don't go away. Have this program today like two people chit-chatting, you know. So and George is giving us a good one here. So George, let's do a small break. We'll be back. Thank you.
Okay.
In a world where news flies around every minute, you need the ability to relate and connect with what matters and stay up to date. Schengen Story Media News Echoes program is Africans in Diaspora and at Home's leading English news network, one of the most trusted, respected sources for news updates on current affairs as they affect global Africa.
Is not to take Africans and move them to Europe. The solution is to free Africa from certain Europeans who exploit it and allow these people to live off what they have. This is called the CFA franc, a colonial currency that France prints for 14 African nations, and by virtue of which it exploits the resources of this nation. This is a child working in a gold mine in Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso is one of the poorest nations in the world. For Burkina Faso, which has gold, France prints colonial currency. In return, it demands that 50% of everything Burkina Faso exports ends up in the coffers of the French treasury. The gold that this child crawls into a tunnel to extract mostly ends up in the coffers of the French state. So
All right, George, you're welcome back.
Yes.
Viewers, you're tuned in to Between the Line, Monday, the 23rd of June. George, before we go into the international update, let's still do more local news.
Okay.
Again, George, 62 houses were set ablaze as suspected headers attack another community, another state, Taraba State, not Nigeria, and a community there in Taraba, Bali local government was attacked because of a very petty issue. They said a woman went to fetch water, blah blah blah. She had confrontations with the headsmen and the waters. George, what's that story? Did you have that story? So
Yes, I do.
we're not
Yes, I
seeing an
do.
end of all this. Go
No,
ahead.
it's not. We haven't. It's a violent clash erupted in Taraba State. It's called Bali local government area. Over a community pond. Community pond is where they go and fetch water. So conflict began after a woman was beaten by herders for protesting cattle polluting the water. Now listen to this. We have said this several times before that to these northerners, cattle are better than humans. Okay, they prefer their cattle that they sell for millions of naira. The lives of humans are nothing to them, but these cattle are what they are always fighting for. So the fight between the Tiv farmers and the Fulani herders led to 62 homes being burnt and one person injured. Okay, so now can you see the so Taraba State's government dispatched emergency teams with relief materials and call for peace. Now I am saying this is what we are crying over. America talking about Canada, China talking about Taiwan, and then Russia talking about annexing Ukraine. And right in our own country, we are seeing people, foreigners, being brought in with ammunitions, military type equipments to come and to take their cattle all over the place. And they consider these people more important than the citizens of Nigeria. And nobody is saying anything. I haven't had a single Fulani person come out to condemn all this nonsense that is going on. So what we're seeing now is that delegations visited the local leaders, urging reconciliation and engaging traditional institutions. In a related effort, windstorm victims in Gaba shared they also received government support. But these things that are happening is not what the people in these areas need. What they need is to stop this nonsense from happening. See, so what is this? Okay, the state is pledging to work towards sustained peace between the farmers and the herders. So why would
Okay.
somebody leave their state, come to my state, destroy all my farmland, destroy the the little pond, the water where we drink, and then when I complain, you begin to fight me? So what is it? Why can't these people learn and find a way of raising their cattle, just like what is happening in a lot of developed countries? Why must they go from one state to another, trying to claim the land that doesn't belong to them? Why? Why can't they be able to find a way to feed these cattle in a very secured area, secluded area? Why do they have to continuously destroy people's farmland? And what you
Why?
are seeing is only a group of people, the 2 or 3% of
Yes.
Nigeria, that is
Yes.
causing this
Yes.
havoc all over the place. And the government is silent. We come to do what you call lip service, and there is nothing being done to safeguard the lives of these citizens and to ensure that they are not being displaced and committing suicide. 62 families have been displaced. What are they going to do? They will take the path of least resistance by putting them in ID camps.
That's what they're going to do.
And when
George,
they do that, what they are doing is saying
George,
to these Fulani herders that we are supporting you. Go take over the lands, because then when they burn their houses, now these people cannot return back to their houses. They will need emergency rescue effort. They put them in ID camps, and these people are coming back to take over their lands. Come on,
George is
wake up,
sad. George,
Nigeria.
look at Taraba. Viewers, you are seeing some the vegetation, the landscape of Taraba. Taraba is a state in the northeastern part of Nigeria. It's named after a river called Taraba River. And that part of Nigeria, that Taraba state, is one of the most beautiful states we have in that country. In fact, they call it nature's gift to Nigeria. So you're seeing Taraba's vegetation, you're seeing Taraba from an aerial view, beautiful state. Also, if you can see the flag very well, if you can see the position, you can see the yellow spotted dotted place. That's where Taraba is. So Taraba also borders with Cameroon, north of Cameroon. No, sorry, I think that would be south of Cameroon. And Taraba borders with other states inside Nigeria, borders with Plateau State, Gombe State, and Benue State. Remember also that Benue was the one that had issues like this last time. Now Taraba is going to his own. George, see a Taraba girl. This is how the Taraba traditional people look like. You know, their culture, their beautiful dress, and their attire. Now they want to bring this the act of scattering a town for no reason because of some group of people. George, this is sad. It's really really sad.
You know what I'm suggesting. I am
Hmm.
suggesting that all of us diasporians will come together, and every country that we are in, we have to write to those governments to rise up and ensure that the government of Nigeria will fight this insurgency in the Middle Belt. They need to do that because there is what you call a silent conspiracy that is really going on, because every day we are hearing of this same thing. This weekend alone, 71 people were killed in Nigeria in different areas. A judge was kidnapped recently in one of these places. So when you see this insurgency, when you see this violence that is taking place in our country, and the government, you have the military, but every time somebody comes to do a civil protest, they will send the military, they will send the police, they will send the mopo, they will send everything to go and quench
Everything.
them from enjoying their constitutional rights. But when it comes to the saving the lives of the people, what we have and what we have seen with this government and the past government of APC is nothing but lip service, because the Fulani herders are involved, and enough ought to be enough. We need to stop it. We, the
Enough
diasporans, we are
ought to be
the
enough.
diasporans are the only hope that these people in the middle have. Until we come together and begin to put a force to push for the government to send the military in the Middle Belt where they are needed, rather than River State and these other places, then we need to stop it. All these herders that are coming and killing people, we have not received anyone that has been arrested and that has been sentenced to prison. What you do, you put them behind, they through the window, they let them go, they gather them together and give them virgins to marry. This is what we are seeing in Nigeria. It is
This is what
unacceptable.
we're saying.
I must stop.
This is what we're saying. George, sad. Very sad indeed. Very, very sad. Anyway, viewers, that's the story from Taraba, northeast of Nigeria. Suspected herders attacked the farming community, set about 62 houses ablaze and killed a lot of people. George said 72. George, how many? What's the number of the casualty?
In the Taraba was about I think they were saying about 65 people or something like that. That one person was injured, but in actuality, when you listen to the real news, a few of them actually were killed. But they're reporting that there was no casualties. Only one person was injured, but that's not true. That is not true.
That's not true.
It's much more
We
than
know
that.
it's not true.
Mm-hmm.
We know it's not true. Okay, George, thank you very much. Viewers, you're tuned to Between the Lines, Monday, 23rd of June. George, let's come to what is hitting the whole world now. We know Canada is copying it very well, looking at that part, those events. George, we're talking about the U.S.-Iran attack. What we heard is for decades now, United States have been trying to avoid this this time, this event, this thing that's happened. Crossing that red line to military confrontation with Iran. But now it has happened. And it's happening with a president that said he wants peace, he wants to make money, he wants business, he's not going for war. But now he has struck the match's head, you know. So I don't know what you have there, but the real-time news that is coming in is Iran has struck. America has a base in Iraq
In Qatar,
and
in Qatar.
Kuwait, Qatar. Two bases in Iraq and Qatar. Now those two bases have been struck this afternoon, George. So what do you have again? What's the story from your
Well,
end?
the whole story is all about U.S. launching a strike against Iran over the weekend, and entered Iran Israel conflict, targeting Iran's Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan nuclear sites. So the U.S. they are calling it Operation Midnight Hammer. Operation Midnight Hammer. So that's what is really happening right now. So in essence, the B-2 bombers plus 125 aircrafts entered into the Iranian space and was able to do some damages. Iranians are claiming that they did not do any damages, but U.S. is President Trump is saying that they obliterated the whole entire thing, which has not been been proved yet. And then severe damages claimed. The Pentagon says that Iran nuclear capability were devastated while warning Tehran against retaliation. Iran response, they launched a missile at Tel Aviv, causing casualties. Houthis in Yemen are now getting involved and say that they will join Iran. Now, Iran used to sponsor the Houthis and the Hamas and these Hezbollah. They used to, and that's the reason why what you saw Trump did, he did. He felt like it is about time for us to move forward and to stop these people from this type of nonsense that they allegedly are doing. So now, political fallout in the U.S. is happening. Schumacher, which is a Jewish guy, criticized President Trump for unilaterally going to bomb Iran without consulting with the House and the Senate. That's another thing. So what you have seen is a lot of casualties that are taking place. And these casualties, they claim that they have killed 400 people in Iran, okay? And then about 24 killed in Israel in retaliation. So now tension is escalating. But what you just reported is that they sent some missiles against the region in Qatar and also in Iraq, but it did not land because Qatar was able to stop it. It did not land. It didn't land.
Okay.
So, but I believe that Iran did that intentionally because Iran actually called the U.S. and told them that they're going to do it. But what they did, they did not do it to destroy, but they did it as, okay, we are able still to be able to do something. Because what they want to do, especially since America is calling for regime change, Trump is calling for regime change, they really don't want to do that. And we have not heard from their supreme leader for the past few days. I think he's in hiding because any type of noise might tell these people where he is, and any wrong move could actually bring about his demise and them killing some of the other leaders in Iran. So that's where we are with all of this, and this is actually a potential third world war that is looming in our own sight.
Yes, that is looming. But Big George, I think it would be an error if anybody wants to escalate this, because the United States is ready. Yes, they are ready. Big George, we went through some of the back end of the preparations the United States have now. Nobody wants to do this. This last operation, it was more like a decoy, and it was really planned and done well. Do you know that bomb, that missile, um, penetrated through what you a building, about 20-story building, concrete building. He penetrated those whole 20-story building, went down to the ground, and he got the target. So we're talking of precision. We're talking of well aligned warfare. It's not a joke. This has also established United States as a superpower again. So with this act alone, I will say let this thing just stop here, because it might go too far. If it goes too far, the other end countries will regret it.
It's not that.
This
It's
is
not.
what
It's
we
not.
are
It's
saying.
not. It's not only that. It's not only
Hmm.
that. You see, okay. My argument has always been, why should Iran continuously come against Israel? What did Israel do to Iran? They're sponsoring Hezbollah. They're sponsoring Houthis. They are sponsoring Hamas, all in
But
name
in
of
this
the
case,
attack.
this particular one, it is
No,
Israel that
so
did the
hold tight, hold
offensive.
tight, hold tight, hold tight.
Hmm.
Let me finish where I'm coming from. That is my
Okay.
own argument. But the real facts are still on the table. That there are 9 countries that have nuclear warhead. US is number one, Russia is number two, China is number three, India is number four, Japan is there. You also have India and Pakistan, and they are allowed. Israel is another one. So you see France also having a nuclear warhead. But the problem is, why do you think that they're trying to stop Iran from developing a nuclear warhead? It is because of their constant and repeated threat against Israel to annihilate them. And that is the reason why Netanyahu went ahead and started fighting these people to destroy some of the things that they're preparing, possibly to come against them. And that is the reason why Trump will have to go and destroy the nuclear sites. So when you talk about all these things, these people need to come. And when they're talking about regime change, that is because their leaders are constantly coming against this little nation called Israel. If they want to move forward, they need to leave them alone. This is a developed country. Iran is. Do you know that the biggest mall in the whole world is in Iran? It's in Tehran. The biggest mall in the whole world is in Tehran. So now what we're talking about is a country that has stifled their citizens, refused for women to raise up their heads, out of the dust, and continue to suppress their own people. Yet we can ignore them, but don't go after a nation that have done nothing to you. That's what I'm saying. Because if you do, the big brother will stand behind them. And that's what we're seeing right now. But so the resulting consequences of this is oil prices are rising. And Iran is now threatening to block the
Yes.
pathway where the oil
Hmm.
ships are moving. So you're going to see a world economic chaos that is about to come, because in Canada already, our oil prices are already rising. Gasoline at the pumps are rising
Yes, it's
simply
all
because of
right.
this. So the regular
It's all
people are the
right.
ones who will be suffering the decision made by these leaders.
Hmm. This is serious.
It is very
Anyway,
serious.
a lot will be happening. It was a well targeted attack, and it went the way they wanted it. Um, uh, Terrible. Let's come to also yesterday. We had that suicide bombing in Damascus, Syria, that killed 22 people in a church. George, do you have that story? That's another crazy story there.
It is so. It
Viewers,
is.
we're not showing any picture because it's too gruesome. There's nothing to show in that act. So in Syria yesterday, while people gathered in church in Damascus, a man came in. He has been identified to be affiliated with the group Islamic State
States.
IIS. So videos from the thing we saw showed very heavy damage, pews covered with blood splattered everywhere, and I mean it's crazy, George.
It
So
is. It is.
yes, I think we can manage to show this one because it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't really bring out graphic things out. So, George, we're seeing more of these terrorist acts growing in the Middle East, and everywhere. Are we going to be seeing more and more again, or will this thing stop?
Well, I wish I could be as optimistic as as I want to be, but I'm not. It will increase. A suicide bomb attack struck Elias Church in Douala,
Yes.
Damascus, and then what
Mhm.
we're seeing in killing worshippers who are just worshiping their God. Can you imagine? Where they are worshiping, you come there, you started shooting, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, you designate the bomb. And that's why I was telling, our colleague that the worst negotiation you will have is with a man who doesn't care about his life. I'm sorry. He feels like if he dies, that he's glorifying his Allah, and then seven
Yes.
virgins will be waiting for him. What
You
kind, what kind
people.
of negotiation would you have with such a person who believes such nonsense? Huh? Eyewitnesses report that gunfire followed by an explosion, with the attackers stopped moments before
Mhm.
detonating. But you see, if he had not been that he was able to be stopped, a whole lot of people would have died. And this was
A
a
whole
Greek
lot.
Orthodox church. They condemned the attack. A lot of people from Greece and the UN and US denounced the violence, and called for protection of minorities. So despite all of these things, this is actually the first one that is happening ever since this interim government took place in Syria. So, and I believe that their call will be made to the leader, to make sure that such a thing does not happen again, because it could become a problem for him if he's not able to control these Islamic
That's
State
correct.
people coming out to do havoc to the people, the citizens of the country. So this is it.
This is it, George. Sad, very sad times for people. I mean, mostly innocent people that are being taken out like that.
It's very
It's
sad.
terrible. It's terrible. Georgie, I think we've covered what is more of importance today. I don't know if you have anything to say, but you're really giving a lot of insight and your opinion, good opinion on the issues. But let's also emphasize um, uh, the border, the road part that these people have closed now. That Iranian part, I think it's called Hamas. Hamas is one of the vital choke points of global trade, where ships pass, bringing oil, gas, and all these things. George, that will really affect business, like you said. It will,
It will. It will. It will.
if
It
they
will
block
devastate
there.
businesses.
Mhm.
It will devastate businesses so badly. So, and this is the reason why, in consideration to make a volatile move like what Trump did, he should have
Mhm.
considered a lot of things. Consider the fact that we have not actually come out from the pandemic, the cause and effects of the pandemic in a global economy. We cannot do
Mhm.
that. Aloyin Karaji wants you to get him in,
Okay.
but we are closing.
Because
Yeah, we're closing. So
yes.
anyway,
Um.
so so
Uh-huh.
so what is happening here is we we need to there ought to be consideration to the common man, to the
Yes.
everyday man, the effects of these decisions that are being made. Yes, we want to save Israel. Yes, we want to make sure that Iran does not develop a nuclear weapon that will wipe out this people like they've been threatening. But yet, what you see today is whatever decisions that you make is a catch-22 type of situation. Damn you do, damn you don't. So, but when you consider the effects internationally, worldwide, what will happen to the economy? Because the economy is moving slowly now, and with all of these things happening, it will go down a little lower. It will slow down even much more. And this is something that we cannot be able to, contain at this moment in a global economy that is in such a volatile state. So we need to ensure that when decisions are being made, we have to consider the common man, because these are the people that will die. These are the people that will suffer hunger.
Absolutely.
These are the people who will suffer financial losses. And these are the things that we need to do.
Let's have Olayinka say something. He's coming late anyway. Olayinka Raji, you're welcome. Yeah. You're welcome to Between the Lines today, Monday, 23rd.
Yeah.
We know you could have some issues there, network and all that, but it's good to see you.
Yeah. So sorry, I'm coming very late. I'll just address the case of the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. It won't be it's not as critical as George is making it seem. 50%, more than 50% of oil supply to Europe comes through that Strait of Hormuz. Yes, and then about the same amount that goes to China comes from that strait. However, China can get alternative supplies from Russia and from other places, right? So the people that it will affect most is the supply to Europe. Now, Europe is now open to the market in the USA. So actually, the closure of that Strait of Hormuz will actually benefit trade between US and Europe.
Well, in the interim, what you have to understand is what happened during the Ukrainian-Russian war. A lot of European countries, they were in a dire state because between the time when these things are not coming in and any interruption in the common or what you call consistent flow will affect businesses. So whether it's going to be a global thing or a sectional thing like European country, it will still affect the common man every day. We are suffering today because of gas prices rising up because of what happened in Iran.
I haven't mentioned the Ukrainian-Russian war. When the US blew up the Nord Stream pipeline, which was supplying
allegedly.
Which was supplying very, very cheap gas.
You need to use the word allegedly because it was not proven.
The trade now benefited US supplies. So let me assure you, there's every move that US makes, it is going to be in its interest. Every move that US makes will always go to be in the interest of the United States.
Well, that might be the case, but every country that makes any move will make it for the best, the interest of their own people and their own nation. So if you continue to say that,
American medicine in the Middle East is in the interest of the US.
Well, hey,
who
wants to go to the farm and plant a crop and don't want to eat of the crop? So
but you don't have to cause problem across the world just for your interest.
America is not causing it. You just go into a peaceful
America
area.
Is the greatest terrorist country.
Hold tight. America is not going to any country that is peaceful and begin to cause havoc. If you cause problem in your area, the big brother will come with hammer.
Hold on there, George. Of all the countries that America has toppled their president, the country was better than the aftermath.
Well, we know this with Iran, Iraq. We know with the Gaddafi.
Hold on. Iran in 1952, when America went in there to depose the democratically elected government of Mohammed Mossadegh. That trouble is what we still have to today. In Libya was one of the most stable countries in the whole of the world. The people were enjoying, the sovereign wealth was over $200 billion. The economy, you could get married and you get allowance. No one was paying school fees. No one was paying electricity bills. But now Libya is ungovernable.
Well, because of Arab Springs. Arab Springs took place, and a lot of countries
Arab Springs was not the problem.
A lot of countries were toppled.
Libya, Arab Spring did not go even beyond Egypt, and everything was reversed.
Well,
Libya was
what I'm saying,
deliberate.
I
Hold
don't
on,
excuse the American interference in a lot of countries.
Libya was deliberately targeted by Obama, and there was a regime change, and the regime change never favored the Libyans. The same thing happened with Argentina.
All right.
The thing happened with Chile. The thing happened with so don't tell me that America does not go to America actually foments trouble in any country that is stable.
Let's come on Wednesday to put more light into all of this. And by then also more occurrences will be happening. So I want to thank you all for coming. Even though Raji came late, the small thing he just said now also went down very well. George, thank you for coming. Between the Line Monday starters. Raji, please let's see you here early so you can tell us more about
let me first apologize. My sincere apologies to our global audience. I'm very sorry. Sometimes you forget something. I was actually at the birthday party.
You were enjoying yourself. I know the way you dress. I know you were chopping life, so it's allowable.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you.
It's permitted.
Until we come again Wednesday. Have a beautiful week. Thank you, George.
The world. Let's live in peace. And God bless Nigeria and our president.
In a world where news flies around every minute, you need the ability to relate and connect with what matters and stay up to date. Schengen Story Media News Echoes program is Africans in Diaspora and at Home's leading English news network, one of the most trusted, respected sources for news updates on current affairs as they affect global Africa.